Oh yeah, Trump way better than Kamala. Yeah, Kamala is pure evil. Kamala Harris is pure evil.
Hello all, Jace here. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're going to go over some clips from Charlie Kirk. He made a recent visit to Oregon, and these are some of the conversations that he had. I don't need to intro this first one. It speaks for itself.
Anyway, my question is really quick. I'll be really brief. I would love it if you could just name 2 black Republican senators.
Well, there is one that I know of, Tim Scott.
Yeah. Can you name a second one?
I'm not sure there is a second. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong.
No, there's not.
Yeah, so it's a trick question.
Yeah.
How about this? Can you name me the only black Supreme Court justice? Actually, there's 2 of them.
Well, it's not a trick question. It's a question to try to prove a point. So other than Byron Donalds, can you name another black Republican congressperson?
Yeah, Wesley Hunt.
Okay. Do you know what the percentage of black Republican representation in the Republican side of Congress is? Do you know what that number is?
It's not very high.
It's not very high. No, it's about a fraction of a fraction of a single percent.
Okay, that's interesting.
No, but I'm curious because I've heard you in other videos. You say, what's the total black population of the United States?
It's
roughly
13%.
So 13 to 14% of the constituents are represented by 0.001% on your side. Now, I'm curious about this one. What's the percentage of the United States citizens who are Christian, who identify as Christian or Judeo-Christian?
Probably 50 to 55%.
What's the percentage of Christians who are Republican in Congress? Just curious. It's 100%.
well, hold on a second. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Hold on. So calm down. You've talked this entire time.
No, but representation matters to you.
Oh no, hold on. One second. How have the
you.
Democrats done overseeing the black community the last 40 years? Are they wealthier, richer, happier?
Everybody's made mistakes, bro.
No. Answer the question.
I'm answering. I just answered the question. There has been successes and there's been failures.
What success
but on
has
your side? Can I ask you this? Let me ask this question the other way.
What success?
So
exactly?
Tim Scott. This is the best way to do this. Because it's not going to happen this cycle. What cycle do you think Republicans will nominate and elect their first black Republican senator to serve
You know what's
in
interesting?
office?
I think skin color is irrelevant. Why do you care so much about it?
I just told you, buddy, it's not irrelevant because it doesn't matter to you.
No, it's interesting though. But you say representation. You know what? Stop it. The only representation that matters is values, not skin color.
Oh, values. Right, Christian values are important to you because 100% of Republicans in Congress represent Christian values.
Bingo.
Black values are not important to Republicans because 0.001% of your representation.
Tell me very slowly so I can understand. What are black values?
I'm talking about the values of different communities.
No, tell me what they are. Educate me on what black values are.
That's you're picking a stupid.
You know what black values are? They're Christian because they're one of the most Christian populations in the country. Yeah. That's what black values are.
How was the church during slavery? I'm curious. What did the church say about slavery?
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there were a bunch of pastors
help me understand. What is the difference between a white person and a black person?
We're getting off topic.
No, this is your topic, my friend. You know you're now starting to retreat a little bit because it's not going well.
I came out here to prove a point, which is that your side doesn't really want to involve itself in anything other than white Christian culture, and that's represented in the people that you bring to office.
Let me explain to me then, not just Wesley Hunt, but Anna Paulina Luna, and the growing Republican Party in the Hispanic community.
Are any of them in any leadership positions on your committees? You guys do run a bunch of committees, right? I'm curious. How many non-white, non-males are on Republican committees in Congress? We got about 118 Congresses to pick from.
Quite a few, but the only distinction I will accept is the male-female distinctions. I actually think that one matters because I think male-female distinctions are important. One the left does not believe in. But I want you to
tell... From the Bible, right? Yeah.
Well, it's also biology, you know, like XXXY chromosomes.
Yeah,
you know. You do believe in male-female distinctions,
right?
right?
I'm talking about. I love that you have to retreat to like the biblical male-female. I get it.
I didn't. You can see XXXY in your blood work, actually.
How did we get on this topic again?
Because I'm talking about distinctions. So I want you to tell me, though, you say that the Republican Party is underrepresenting black America.
Well, not just black America, it's many other I'm saying they're overrepresenting white Christian culture, and that matters because it shows that that's what your value set is. I don't believe that you have value sets for non-white,
What is white Christian culture? Tell me what that is.
You drip it in the morning when you get out of the shower, bro. Like, what are you hating women, hating different people, and
How do I hate women exactly? Tell me how I hate women.
Sir, I've listened to several hours of your programming a week.
Give me one example. Tell me very clearly, though.
Yeah.
You said that I hate women and I'm misogynistic.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
I can't. I don't have a specific example right now.
Because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I think it does.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of this lately. Liberals seem to think the best way to win an argument is to talk real fast, interrupt every time your opponent tries to talk, and then make up stats. Then ask your opponent to defend your made up stats, then interrupt them again anyway. If you feel you're in a strong position to win an argument, the last thing you're going to do is constantly interrupt your opponent. You want to hear what they have to say. You cannot debunk their statement if you don't know what their statement is. Now, I mean, of course, a Christian votes for candidates with Christian values, or at least candidates that claim they do. Is that really weird? Don't we all vote for candidates that support our values? And why is the left so hyper focused on skin color if we're supposed to be the ones that are racist? Of the two men involved in this conversation, which one seems to be more filled with hate and anger? Now, personally, I don't care what percent of black people are nominated for political positions. I just want 100% of the nominees to be supremely qualified and willing to support conservative ideals.
I talk about it.
So, have you had a child since? Can you talk about your story, please?
No. So when I was 23, I got pregnant. Wasn't planned. And I decided I was going to do the right thing. Came from a Christian family. Abortion was always off the table. At 18 weeks, I found out that my amniotic sac tore and attached to my baby's spine. It was pulling her spine out and filling her brain with fluid. And the doctor said, there's no other option. This is what we have to do. So I did induce labor and I gave birth. That was the grounds. I said, I'm not doing this unless. So I wanted to hold her. I wanted to, yeah. So afterwards, when I started getting bills, the doctor said, well, your life wasn't actually at risk of death in that moment. It could have been eventually, but it wasn't then. And so the pain that abortion caused me, I stayed in an abusive relationship for a year. I allowed a man to beat me because I felt so little about myself. I drank, I used drugs, and if it hadn't been for Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, I don't know where I would be. So.
First of all, you are healed and forgiven.
Yeah.
And one day you'll meet that little one in heaven.
Amen. Yeah.
And I want you to have that as comfort.
Yes.
Because it says in the scriptures, God gathers the least of these in his hand. And I believe that speaks to the unborn.
Amen.
And I ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that the medical industry lied to you?
Absolutely.
Talk more about that, because we're told to trust doctors. And if you, what would you have done? Would you have brought that baby to term? Because 18 weeks is before a baby can usually survive outside of utero.
Correct. But so giving birth to her, I was holding this little child. I mean, she was a baby. She had hands and nails, and I mean, she was alive. And in holding that baby, I knew. I was like, well, I had no right to take her life. And I felt like I was put in a position to choose that. And my mom, she talks about how she's like, I'm sitting there listening to a doctor say that my daughter's going to die. And I didn't know what to do. And so we all felt this pressure and this pushing to abort my daughter. And that wasn't the case.
Was it medically necessary? Was it not? I don't know. And I think it's unfair to attribute motive to a doctor without knowing both sides of the story. So I'm not going to weigh in on that part. All I know is God bless her. And I'm glad he was able to pull her out of that downward spiral. You know, I hate what losing that baby did to her, but it shows that child was not just a clump of cells. That was a human being. It wasn't fully formed, but it was fully known. And that loss was tangible for her. It hurt no less than losing a child that had already been born. I wish people would listen to more testimonials like this whenever they're trying to make a decision on abortion.
Here's my question. So this morning you tweeted that only 51% of people of faith plan to vote in this election. and you said that Christians shouldn't expect Trump to have a more Christian ethos if they aren't going to turn out for them. Does that sound about accurate? Okay, so I think it should be the other way around. Why should America First Christians vote for Trump when he has come out saying he will be actively pro-choice by vetoing a national abortion ban, also saying that he is going to attach green cards to diplomas, which is putting the people of other countries before Americans, and also escalating tensions in the Middle East by calling for Israel to strike Iran instead of peace deals.
But let's look at what Trump did for the issues you cared about. Number one, on the green cards thing, he's clarified that, so that is not his stated position. Number two, you obviously care about the southern border and what's happening on the southern border. Under Kamala Harris, 10 million people have come across the country illegally. Under Donald Trump, border crossings were at an all-time low, right? Number two, when it comes to immigration, Donald Trump has always said that he wants Americans to be put first when it comes to employment and for jobs. But you asked about people of faith. If we do not show up in big numbers, politicians will read the script that we provide them. And if we as Christians don't vote, then why should we expect our politicians to ever respond to our core values or our core sentiments? Not voting for Trump is kind of a passive vote for Kamala Harris.
I understand that. However, how Trump, I think that in order for us to get him to support the things we want him to support, our only real tool is the vote. And if we were to, say, withhold our vote unless he stops sort of going more liberal in some areas, what's stop him from just trying to win over people on the left while straying away from right
So
policy?
I just want to understand your calculus. Your calculus is we don't vote and then he'll listen to us?
I mean, yeah, if some people say that they're not going to vote for him, then he's going to want to change his policy to be more reflective of the people.
That's really foolish 30 days out from an election. Okay, that's not smart. In fact, that's the way a Democrat operative would talk. Okay,
but you caught me.
But I just want to ask the question though. It's less about Trump or Harris. When you win a presidency, you fill the cabinet with 5,000 appointees, right? You staff the government 5,000 people. Which team of people would be a better fit for your worldview? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
You guys, if you've watched my videos, you know how I feel about this. I'm not a huge Trump guy either. There are times when you've got to look at who's going to best represent your principles. You know, this goes back to the whole primary thing for me. You know, only the hardcore on either side of the aisle, you know, really participate in the primaries. So you usually end up with a more hardcore candidate, either hard right or hard left. So I'm not a giant Trump guy, but I do believe he's going to better represent us and he's going to better care for the American people.
My name is Colby Silvestri. I'm a proud member of the Libertarian Party. I'm glad to see you here.
So you're working on behalf of Kamala Harris here, but yeah.
Not sure how that works, but I think we disagree mostly on things of degree, like dismantling the administrative state and destroying regulations. You talk about tariffs and how they protect the American consumer, but wouldn't widespread deregulation between our industries help that more?
So let me tell you what I'm libertarian on, and then you tell me. I'll tell you what I'm not libertarian on, and then we can find out where we disagree. Is that cool? I'm very libertarian on guns. I think that people have a God-given inalienable right to own weapons, and that the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, and that without the Second Amendment, you don't have a First Amendment, a Third Amendment, a Fourth Amendment, and the Second Amendment is God-given. We agree on that, right?
Right.
I believe that the government should be severely restrained in its spying, its capacity to be able to monitor our private communications. I think you should get a warrant before that you ever are able to spy in communications, and I think the FISA statute should be completely repealed. And I think it's abused by politicians too much. Finally, I think we largely agree on war. I think the Iraq war was a mistake. The Afghanistan war was a mistake. I think us sending money to Ukraine is a total mistake. And I think that this experiment in the American empire has been terrible and awful. Let me tell you what I'm not libertarian on, okay? I'm not libertarian on immigration. I do not think that we should have open borders and invite the people of every country around the world to come here while our own citizens are suffering and not able to get ahead as much as their parents, right? So that's where I'm not libertarian. Secondly, and then I'll let you respond, I'm not libertarian on drug legalization. I think that our moving towards drug legalization that starts with marijuana and eventually cocaine and then psychedelics and then heroin has been very bad for society. It increases crime. I do not like this idea that you drive every corner and there's marijuana clinics in every corner. I don't think that it has improved the well-being or the soul of this nation. So on those two things, I'm not libertarian. Please respond.
Do drugs cause crime, or does the drug war cause crime?
Well, people cause crime, but you also must understand what you do from a policy perspective. Just using prudence and not abstractions, is what I am doing improving the livelihood of my people, or is it hurting the livelihood of my people? And I could be honest, I don't know, maybe you guys disagree, but since the legalization of weed in a lot of Western states, I do not think it's increased the quality of life out West. You could disagree, though.
Maybe not for the people in jail who are incarcerated for nonviolent drug.
I think that's a good argument.
Crimes.
Those are actually two different things, though. Decriminalizing something in the sense of how you enforce it, I can agree with, but then legalizing it so that a 19-year-old can go get a bunch of weed on the street corner. We were told a couple things when it came to the drug war. We were told that usage rates would go down. We were told that the cartel would get super poor and that it would like bankrupt the cartel, and we were told that it would not increase crime in the areas. None of those three things actually happened.
We didn't end the drug war. We never ended the drug war. It's still going on right now.
No, I know. So is it your perspective to decriminalize all drugs?
Yes.
Okay. So including heroin?
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. So do you think San Francisco is a good example of drug policy?
No. No.
But all drugs are legal in San Francisco.
I don't know if that's the case.
No, it is. Yeah, I could literally, you and I could get in a car right now, and you and I can get morphine, we can get heroin or fentanyl on the side of the street and shoot up together and watch the sunset over the Golden Gate Bridge.
With the cops. With the cops.
What?
Just like right next to us, just hanging out.
No, not only that,
shooting up
the state
heroin.
gives
It's
you the
cops.
drugs.
And the needles.
And the needles. Did you know that?
No.
That's libertarianism at play, though, my friend. So San Francisco has embraced libertarian.
The government does not have any responsibility to distribute drugs.
Fair enough, fine, but it's not just, it's an extreme. They distribute drugs in San Francisco. In Portland, they don't enforce any drug laws. Now, I think you guys can all agree the dirtiness and the lack of safety in San Francisco, Portland, Seattle should be a cautionary tale that maybe widespread drug legalization is a really, really bad idea. Thank you. You have one more thought?
One more thought about tariffs. I want to go back to my original
Sure,
question.
I'm very much in favor of tariffs, yeah.
The costs are ultimately passed down to the consumer.
Not always. That's interesting. So why are pickup trucks so much cheaper in America than they are in Europe?
No idea.
Because they're made here. You know that we heavily tariff pickup trucks more than any other car coming into the country? So how do you avoid a tariff? Make it here. So what tariffs do is they're forcing functions for overseas companies to build factories here. See, you're only looking at tariffs through a one-dimensional DC Chamber of Commerce lens. The way that you tell a company, oh, avoid the tariff, build the factory in Nevada. And so, for example, you guys probably, any parents own a Toyota pickup truck? Anybody? They're actually pretty good, yeah? Look at, there's a couple hands. Toyota builds all their pickup trucks here, and they avoid the 25% tariff. So it's not a tax. It actually incentivizes homeland production and more jobs for our country, and actually the price doesn't get passed on to the consumer.